thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. So how's life in Pierce the Veil in 2023?
It's good, man. A lot of exciting stuff. We're just happy to be back at it again, man. Like there was a brief period of time when the world was like kind of shut down and we didn't know if we were ever going to be able to play shows again, you know? So coming back full circle, it's kind of nice to be out of that and planning tours, playing shows. It's been awesome, man. We almost feel like a brand new band.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people during that time, they kind of reassessed how they wanted their band to be.
Totally. I mean, that was a huge part of it. I mean, we felt coming out of this, it felt like I said, starting over, like, let's do everything how we want to do it. You know, we feel like a brand new band. So why not, you know, build a new culture, build a new, everything from how we manage the band to how we handle different shows and tour. Like it's such a different mindset now. And it's honestly all the things we've learned over the past, you know, like we've definitely made mistakes and we're trying to learn from those things. And I think that's what makes us keep getting better and better, you know, at what we do. So we're very thankful to be in this spot. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it feels like you're in a very positive place.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. We've definitely, this album has definitely brought us closer, not together, like not so much as friends, but like more as a family. Like we feel closer. We're happy to be playing together again. Man, it was tough not being able to see those guys and playing music for a long time. And yeah, 6 years is too long to wait to make music. So we're back and hopefully not have to do that again. We can expedite the process.
And you're back with a new album, Jaws of Life, which comes out on February the 10th.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up around the corner.
Which is my wedding anniversary.
No shit. Dude, there's some. So get this. Our album's coming out on the 10th. Vic is having his daughter. The due date for his daughter is the 7th, which we're hoping it's a couple days later. So it's on the 10th as well. And his birthday is on the 10th.
Oh, wow. So
a lot of things happening all together. And let's just say that Vic's birthday is going to probably fall on the very bottom of the list of celebrating. So we got to make sure we say happy birthday to him because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in his life and in our lives as well. Yeah, we're really excited to put this new music out and excited for the world to hear it. And it's been, like you said, it's been a long time. And you always get that weird kind of feeling and the butterflies in your stomach. And you hope everyone's going to like it, which is kind of unrealistic, but you fingers crossed and you hope, you know, you want just people to enjoy what we've been making.
Yeah, well, you say that, but more and more people seem to be coming to your band. Like you're playing some big shows now, and like I've heard the album. I think this is going to take you like to the next level for sure.
Awesome, thank you, man.
So I also want to ask you about the title real quick because Jaws of Life, Jaws of Death is more of a phrase that most people would think about. So is that part of the positivity that you're feeling now? Is that part of the energy you're trying to go for?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it started. I mean, we had this title for, you know, before the album was even finished. You know, we knew what we were going to call the album. We knew what the vibe of the album was going to be. And yeah, I think for us, it was a negative. I don't want to say negative, but we took the negativity of you know, the world could be a very negative place. The world could be a very vicious place. And I think during that time, we all felt like we were trapped and we were like trying to just, you know, people were missing graduations, people were missing, you know, going to like their prom and stuff, you know, because of all that stuff that was going on. So this was more of for us to like break through that and take a second to breathe and take a second to see the sun, you know, and be like, wow, we did it, you know? So all of that negative space, we kind of found some positivity in it. And I think that the whole album has just, each song has its own story to tell. And, you know, we're just so happy that we got a chance to be creative in that space and do shit we've never done. You know, that's the biggest thing for us. Like we never want to make the same album twice. We never want to go backwards. We want to go forwards and experiment with different things. And sometimes you have to be bold, you know, and I think that's, you know, that's kind of my mindset. You know, you kind of have to go for it and you learn from it, you know, whether it works or it doesn't work, you know, if you're not making mistakes and you're not trying, you know? Yeah.
Every day's a school day, right?
Yeah.
So what shit have you tried on this album that you haven't tried before?
Yeah. It's not necessarily just like one or two things. It's more of just, you know, experimenting with different styles of music that we've never done before. You know, this album is pretty heavy in the 90s grungy kind of vibe. You know, we went kind of back to our old school roots of like, listening to bands, you know, like me personally, you know, I love Deftones, I love Rage Against the Machine. Like from that style, that era for me was super iconic, you know, and those songs, you know, when you hear a Rage song, you know, it's a Rage song. Just, it's so simple, but powerful. It has you, and it's like palm of the hand. As soon as it starts, you're just like, I'm in for the ride, you know? So that was a challenge for us to try to like create songs like that. It ended up being harder to write like simpler songs, which is kind of hard to believe. Because we're so, you know, our last albums, they're very, you know, there's a lot getting tossed at you at once. You know, there's all kinds of guitar riffs and vocal parts and stuff. So we tried to like peel it back a little bit and see what we can come up with. And yeah, like on the album, there's songs like, you know, Even When I'm Not With You is something that we didn't know what we were going to do with that song, or even a song like Shared Trauma, which like I made on this laptop, you know, something that we would have never thought would be a Pierce the Veil song. This was the opportunity to showcase that on this album because it was so, you know, it's a little different.
So what's your process to get to a song? You mentioned that you wrote one on a laptop there, which, you know, the bands you're talking about never did that back in the 90s.
Yeah. I think for us, it was, it just depends on the song. Like, normally we start with skeletons, you know, like someone will come to the table with, you know, I call them audio sketch pads, you know, like people write down notes in their notepads and they just have, you know, a good idea, you know, shower thoughts, if you will. So we do that, but we record them, you know, and we have just a vault of different riffs of different parts, whether it's a verse or a chorus or an outro, or just like a vibe. And then we take from that and we build, you know, so Vic will take it and start humming on something, then he'll create something and then he'll throw it back. And then we kind of back and forth it until all of a sudden we kind of see this idea forming. And it's not until we go into the studio where we actually start to like really construct and build. And some songs were already pretty much finished. Like, so perfect example, Even When I'm Not With You, that song, I think Vic wrote the riff when he was up in a mountain in Big Bear. And I think he sent us the video of him, and it was like 3:00 in the morning, him on an acoustic guitar, super dark. And we were like, that riff is really cool. And he played it on acoustic guitar. And we're like, what if we make it like super fuzzy and gross sounding? And that we just kind of built that up. But that song came together really fast. Other songs were like Shared Trauma, you know, where I had this idea that wasn't necessarily a Pierce, you know, PTV idea. It was just music, you know, we're just kind of always creating. And Vic overheard it, started writing some melodies towards it. And all of a sudden we just couldn't escape it. We just kept coming back to the song and being like, where is this going to go? Like, this has to be something. And yeah, I think until our producer was like, that's got to be on the album, is when we kind of realized how meaningful the song was. And yeah, we made the album, which is like, you know, we never have any like set rules, you know, whatever the song needs is what we kind of go for.
Talk to me about some of the lyrical things, because one of the things you guys do really well is touch on serious subjects, but it always feels like when you hear it live, you can just go crazy and have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is that'll be more of a Vic question because he does all the lyrics. But I think this album, he went above and beyond. I think lyrically, this is some of the best work he's ever done. And it was awesome. Like, he would go when we were working on like guitar parts or bass parts in the house studio. He would go outside. He would pour himself a little glass of wine with his little notebook, put his headphones on, and listen to the demos and just like come up with lyrics. And I remember every time he'd come up with just the line, and then we're talking just one line. This is how like meticulous he was about the whole process. He would come up with one line that he felt really strongly about. He'd come into the house and be like, guys, listen to this. What do you think of this? And we were like, put it on the wall. That's fantastic. And it was just like, you know, a celebration of little pieces, you know, like I think because we were so disconnected for such a long time, it was kind of nice to be in that house and really celebrate each other's little kind of stepping stones and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely, I'll let Vic answer that one when the time is right, because every song is different. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. And I think he did a great job on this album for sure. With
an album concept, when do you start thinking about how the songs are going to sit next to each other as an album?
That is another part that's super tricky. That was something that people don't like think about that. Like how when the album is finally in our hands, we're looking at it. We're like, all right, what's the first song? What's the last song? What's the journey we're going to take people on? And that was a lot of phone calls. That was a lot of Zoom sessions. That was a lot of, all right, here's my new list, you know, back and forth. I think it took us like 3 full days of listening to songs. We're on, you know, just the 3 of us going back and forth. Like, here's my set list. Here's my set list. How about this? How about we do this? And finally, I think it was the day or within like a couple hours of it actually needing to be done because it was for vinyl and needed to be pressed, they were on the phone with us in the label. They're like, what's this, you know, the order? And I remember calling Vic and I'm like, dude, I think we got it. What do you think about this? And we looked at it and we're like, that's it. Boom, send it. And it was like within the hour that we finally got it done. Yeah. So that stuff people don't really think about. You know, people think that we just kind of slap it together and it's whatever, but we put a lot of thought into like every aspect of the album, how it looks, how it sounds, and all that. And, you know, it was, yeah, this album was definitely probably knocked a couple of years off of our lives, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, because especially in these days of streaming, like a lot of people listen to music differently.
Totally. So, and I'm super guilty of it too. When I listen to a new album, I always leave my phone on shuffle, and I shouldn't, but I do because I'm lazy. And yeah, sometimes when I hear a new album, I try my hardest to listen to it from the beginning to the end, straight how the artist intended, but sometimes that's not the case. So I have to also keep that in mind too, that people are human and they're not going to listen to it the way we want them to listen to it. And that's just life, you know, that's just how it goes. So.
And I always think that the opening song on an album and the last song on an album are very deliberately put there.
Yeah, those are the easiest / hardest ones to choose because, like you said, those are normally the most deliberate. They're songs that are probably meaningful to the band in some way that they want you to be like, yo, this is the, you know, the beginning and the end chapter to close the book of the album. And yeah, that one was 12 Fractures. The last song was actually the easiest one to pick because that one felt, you know, it was a ballad. We had Chloe Mariando on it, who elevated the song to a completely new level. So that one was an easy choice to put at the end. We're like that, obviously, with the last line and everything, like that was a no-brainer. The first song, however, was a nightmare to figure out because that song, Death of an Executioner, that one took the longest to finish. That one was in like limbo from day one almost. Like we had no idea what to do with that song because it was so different. There were so many different parts. What's on the album wasn't necessarily what we were listening to in the studio. There was like, that song could have been an 8-minute long song. That's how like crazy the song was, you know? So we did a lot of work to make that one what it is today. And I think the only place for that song was to start the album. There was no other place for it because it just didn't feel right anywhere else. So that one kind of luckily fell into that spot. And it turned out great. It's one of my favorite songs on the album too. So like because of the journey it took to get there.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you went on that journey with that particular song.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and I think with the closing song, sometimes you want to leave a little hint of what's to come, like the next chapter of Here's the Veil, maybe. Do you think, even though it's a ballad, do you think it gives any kind of hints of where you might go next?
Necessarily think that's true. I mean, if the listener wants to believe that, then I'll let them believe whatever they want. But that wasn't like an intentional thing that we were like, hey, we're gonna, you know, tease you to the next album. It was because every album for us is so different. We always take chances on every album. We always do stuff differently, whether it's you know, recording in a new place, a different recording style, a different recording producer. In this case, Paul Meany from Mute Math, you know, working with an artist who knows the ins and outs of being in a band, handling management, handling record labels. Like he knows all of that because he was in a very successful band on a major label. So that's something we've never had to deal with. And when you work with an artist, it also comes with that artist's passion. So there was a lot of creativity, butting heads of like what we wanted. And that's what we wanted. You know, we wanted somebody someone to challenge us and be like, whoa, let's try this. Let's do this. And like, you know, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, we're always trying to better ourselves. Like I said, you know, every day is a school day, right? So we're trying to get better every day. And who knows what the next album will sound like, you know, only time will tell. And
you talk about him, and he's worked with some big artists and artists that are pushing boundaries. Do you have any albums that he's done before that you're a big fan of?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of the 21 Pilots stuff, and I think that is a testament to kind of who he is creatively. He really, him and Tyler like work hand in hand on all those songs, and just listening to the stories he has of how like a certain song came together, and it was, you know, nothing's off limits in the sense of creativity. Like, you know, he records everything all the time, which is like, we didn't know that, you know, like there was one point we were like jamming And that's kind of how the intro to Death of an Executioner was created. He recorded us jamming parts to that song without us even knowing. He just had the thing, he had his computer on record, and we recorded for like maybe half an hour, and he went in his little room, came back and showed us an intro part that was what is now the intro to the song, which is crazy. We're like, what did you do? How did you make that? He's like, I didn't do that. You guys did. I just kind of pieced it together. We're like, that's crazy, you know? So obviously we cleaned it up and whatever, but that's the kind of mind he has. He's always like, nothing's off limits. Your conversation in the kitchen, I'm recording that because that could be a cool sound effect in between a part. Like, he's always just thinking outside the box. And I think that was something that we've never had, you know, we've never thought that, that loosely and be like, we'll create something like on the spot. It was just, he's always just thinking about that kind of stuff. So that was nice to have. And also a little creepy. I was like, are you recording me right now? What are you doing?
I feel like it's going to be a special year for Pierce at Vale.
I can't wait, man. I hope so. I hope you're right. I'm excited. I'm happy. Excited just to travel the world again and see all our fans that we've built for the last, you know, God knows how long. So it's going to be fun.
Hopefully you'll be in Montreal before soon.
100%. Montreal. I love it.
Montreal. Yeah. Practice your French.
Yeah.
But wait until it gets a bit warmer.
Totally. For sure. I'll bring extra coats for sure.
All right. Thanks very much for your time.
Awesome, Steve.
We'll see you soon.
Take care, man. Adios.